The materials that are used to best complete this tutorial are an HB pencil, a 4B pencil, and an 8B pencil. However, if you do not have these pencils, you can always just use any pencil you have that is dark for the 8B pencil and 4B pencil, and anything that is a little bit lighter or harder for the HB pencil. Then I like to use a Kneadable Eraser, but if you do not have that, you can always use a generic eraser, but use it with precision. And finally, I like to use a blending stump, but if you don't have that, you can use a regular tissue. Just a quick note that you need to make sure your pencils are extra sharpened to make the hairs look more fine and more realistic. So to get started, I have drawn an eyelid. This is not the eyelid I will be using, but this is just to show the way in which the hairs flow. So at the start of an eye, the eyelashes go downwards. And then, slowly, as you get towards the middle of the eyelid, the eyelashes curve upwards and they go towards the direction in which you want. In this case, the eyelashes are going towards the left. Now, in the complete middle, at the top of the curve, the eyelashes are completely facing upwards, going off of the eyelid. Then, slowly, as you go down the eyelid, the eyelashes go towards the right, and they still curve upwards. This is what we will be using as our reference when we are drawing the actual eyelashes. So now I'm going to be showing you a reference for the bottom eyelid. The first hairs, in this case the left corner, which is the start of the eyelid, are flowing downwards. And these eyelashes are a little bit shorter than the rest of the hairs on the eyelid. Additionally, since these eyelash hairs are starting out in the left corner, they will be flowing towards the left. However, this is subject to change based off of where the start of your eye is. Next are the eyelash hairs in the middle. These hairs are going directly downwards and they do not flow in any sort of direction. This is where the hairs are the most fullest, so draw a lot of the hairs here. Finally, there are the hairs that go towards the right. These hairs face downwards and they flow towards the right. They are a little bit shorter than the hairs in the middle, but a little bit longer than the hairs at the beginning. Before we get started, I'm going to show you how we are going to draw the hairs and in which patterns. So we are going to be basically drawing two hairs that connect at the top. It's going to be in a triangular shape. It looks like this. Next, after we draw those triangular shapes, we are going to then draw lines that cross over the triangular shape. These lines are going to be over each one of the triangular connected eyelashes. The third type of eyelash hair we are going to be drawing on the top lid are stray hairs. These hairs are not connected to anything else, and they are simply just to fill in the spaces between the eyelashes to make the top lid look more full. For the bottom lid, we are going to be doing the same type of triangular shape, but it's going to be facing downwards. We're going to draw two lines that connect at the bottom. The second and final type of hair that is going to be drawn on the lower lid is a stray hair. The stray hairs are to make the lower lid look a little bit full, but we do not want it to be too full because the lower lid tends to have less hairs than the top lid, and the lower lid has the hairs more dispersed rather than in groups. And if you want to, you can draw hairs that cross over the triangular shaped hairs, but it is not necessary since that is more of a feature on the top lid. So first, I'm going to be using an 8B pencil as my darkest layer of hairs, and I'm going to start by drawing the hairs that flow downwards. These hairs are a lot shorter than the rest of the hairs on the top eyelid. These hairs don't have a typical pattern, they are just singular hairs since there are very few of them. Then, as we approach the left corner, these hairs are starting to flow upwards, and they overlap onto each other. These hairs sort of go in a triangular shape, and you can draw hairs going on top of other hairs and other groups of hairs. Now, as we get towards the top, I'm using the same pattern in which I drew the hairs, and I'm just drawing them a little bit taller than the rest of the hairs, and I'm drawing them directly facing upwards. Now slowly I'm approaching the right-hand corner. These hairs flow towards the right, and I'm repeating the same pattern that I used, the curving triangular shape and different hairs overlapping onto each other. Then as we approach the corner, I like to draw these hairs very clumped together since this is where the bottom hairs and the top hairs meet. These hairs are not in a particular pattern like the triangular overlapping pattern that I mentioned, but they are just in a simple line pattern. Now I'm using this time to go over the hairs again with my 8B pencil to make any last touch-ups on the top lid. Use this time to go over any parts of your top lid that you feel needs to be touched up. Now to start my next layer on the top lid, I'm using a 4B pencil and I'm going over the patterns that I drew with the 8B pencil. Using a 4B pencil creates a variation in the different light and dark eyelash hairs. This creates more depth. I like to draw these hairs where I feel the eyelid needs to be a little bit more full, but do not go overboard in drawing too many hairs because then it will start to look unrealistic. Now finally, I'm using an HB pencil and I'm drawing a few stray hairs in between the different patches of hairs that I drew to create an even more full look to the eyelid. These hairs also don't have to go in any particular order. They are just stray hairs that can go anywhere where you feel they are needed. Now I'm starting to draw the bottom hairs. These hairs are drawn with an 8B pencil, and I'm starting with the hairs in the left-hand corner. These hairs are flowing towards the left and going downwards, and they also start out shorter and they get longer as we go towards the middle. These hairs are following the same crisscross pattern at the top, but are more dispersed. As we approach the middle, these hairs are the longest, and they also are facing downwards. Finally, as we do the hairs going towards the right, these hairs get a little bit shorter and they are also flowing downwards and flow towards the right and following the same crisscross pattern. finally, with a 4B pencil, I'm filling in any areas where I feel need a couple of more hairs. These are just stray, loose hairs, but please do not put too many because it will then start to look unrealistic. And that does it. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Please comment down below what you want to see next and if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.